And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here as we get set for race number 16, our fourth to last race of the regular season of the NCRA Almond Joy Series. After this race, we've got only 3 more stops until we're going to know the 12 official drivers that will be battling for the championship in this year's first Almond Joy Series chase for the championship. And we're here today at maybe one of the wild card races in the upcoming last regular season events. We're at Daytona. And the reason why I say wild card is because Daytona is one of those racetracks. It's a super speedway, and it puts everyone on a level playing field. And one thing that I've also said throughout the years about these restricted play tracks is they seem to cater to one of 2 factors, either the underdog or the driver that is struggling in the point standings, which means that tonight we could end up having another winner this season who could try putting himself, after a really struggling season, into possible championship contention. Another big story we got coming into this race is after last week's race, it was amazing that after last week's race at Rockingham, North Carolina, we have at least 5 drivers down in the danger zone that are former winners this season. Let me name them all for you. Let me go down the list here. 30th in the point standings, in the final spot available to be able to be eligible for your win to count towards a chase spot. In 30th place is J Finguy, our winner from Texas. You've got Brooke Allen. She dropped to 31st in the point standings, our winner from Dover. Zachariah Hall. Yes, he had a good run last week at Rockingham, moved up in the standings, but only up to 32nd in points. Our winner from Las Vegas, right now outside of the top 30. Matthew Daleo. The last time we were here at Daytona was the season opener, and Daleo picked up his first of 2 back-to-back wins at this very racetrack. He has dropped all the way to 34th in the point standings. There's a chance that a 2-time winner this season will not be making the chase unless Daleo can get things turned around. And J Romero was actually up outside of the danger zone a couple of weeks ago. Well, some poor finishes in the last few weeks have now dropped him back down outside the top 30. He is 35th in the point standings. So right now, 5 drivers are in danger of not even having their win count towards a chase spot. So we're going to have to keep tabs on those 5 drivers during the course of this evening, as well as all the other stories that will be formulating tonight. Of course, we've got K Jazzin, 2 wins in a row. Kind of shades of Matthew Daleo from earlier on this season, winning at Springfield Mile 3 weeks ago, and then last week at Rockingham, North Carolina. Jazzin right now also the points leader, so in very good shape is the 7 car to probably make the chase for the championship. Other drivers right now that are in really good shape of possibly making it, maybe even with a good run tonight, include Benny Watson and James Qualls. DJ Kurtis kind of on the cusp, as are John Andrews and Jordan Lopez, but if they could come away with maybe a second win here tonight, they may end up locking themselves up a spot in the chase for the championship as well. On the front row, we've got Richard Johnson and Connor Breton, a couple of drivers who are still looking for their first wins of the season. Richard Johnson comes into this race 8th in the point standings, so really having a good season, just trying to find victory lane. Connor Breton, on the other hand, not exactly having the best of seasons. He's 33rd in the point standings, but a win tonight could put him maybe up inside the top 30 and potentially into the chase picture. Without further ado, though, we're going to go down trackside, get the command to fire up the engines. I thought we were going to get the command to fire the engines. Actually, nope, never mind. We got to do it this way. I thought I had the pause button correct on this computer, but I guess not. So, anyway, now let's get the command to fire them up. So it's going to be a total of 32 laps here tonight. That's right, it's going to be a pretty long race here at Daytona, which means that potentially we could have pit strategy come into play. As Richard Johnson, Connor Breton, a couple of Chevy Camaros lead the 42 car field off, and it looks like everybody got off okay. Let's just check and make sure. Yes, indeed. There you see James Qualls, mentioned he's one of the drivers that could lock up a spot. Uh-oh! Got some problems. I was wondering if anybody was going to have some issues here at the start, and it looks like K Tsang is one of them. This is kind of ironic because remember last time we were at Daytona when Matthew Daleo took the checkered flag, he won it in a photo finish. The losing end of that photo finish was the 07, K Tsang finishing second in that Daytona race. So K Tsang, early issues for that team. Not exactly sure what's amiss. Maybe it's something they can get fixed quickly, get K Tsang back out there before she gets lapped, but I don't know. On the apron there, I don't see any smoke, so maybe it's something they can fix. And maybe if K Tsang can get a quick caution, she can remain on the lead lap. Tsang comes into this race 29th in the point standings, actually gained spots in the standings last week after Rockingham. But bit of a rocky start tonight for the 07 car. Look up here at the front of the field and the number of drivers that we have not seen go to victory lane yet. Johnson and Breton on the front row. Cody Smart there in third. Seth Cole in fifth. Zach Rogers taking over that 2 car there in the sixth position, now replacing Elijah Gordon. This is actually the debut race for Zach Rogers. Got K Shearer, Justin Turner there, Davey Johnson. So I believe it's 8 drivers in the top 10 that have not found victory lane yet this season. Here we go, though, getting ready to go green for the second time this season at Daytona. We're under the lights, though, and we are underway. Richard Johnson getting the good jump. Moves up to the high side to make sure that Connor Breton doesn't get any momentum going into turn 1. They're going to go 3 wide further back already. That was Jordan Lopes sticking it down to the inside 3 wide with B Allan. And Connor Breton, that outside line, not getting much help as the inside line begins to prevail. Cody Smart moves to second, Seth Cole to third, K Shearer to fourth, and the battle's going to be for second place. Seth Cole now diving to the inside of Cody Smart. K Shearer now dives down to the bottom as the field gets backed up here. Let's see if K Tsang has been able to continue. Yes, she has. She's back on the racetrack. So K Tsang going to try and continue here, try and stay on the lead lap, maybe get a quick caution if possible. And the battle's on for the lead. Richard Johnson will lead the first lap, but here comes a hard-charging Seth Cole for that position. And I'm actually just being noticed, yeah, we've got another car that's had an issue that didn't even take the green flag, we're being told, and that's Jonathan Rains in the 46. He's being scored right now in 40th. He hasn't even taken the green flag. He's not on pit road. He's already out of the race, it looks like. We've also got another car that's lost the draft, and that's Jonathan Zoerlein in the 62. So a lot of issues happening very early on here at Daytona, as Cody Smart now trying to take the race lead away from Seth Cole. Grayson Acevedo right there in second. Talk about Junior Motorsports and the run they've had in the last couple of weeks. Of course, Amora Studemeyer Jr.'s up in the top 5 in points. K Jazzin, 2 wins in a row. And Acevedo's 14th in the point stand. So Junior Motorsports been having a pretty good season with a number of their rides. Cody Smart moves back down in front of Acevedo to keep that position. And I'm trying to remember the last stop that we had at a restrictor plate, and I can actually find that out here in just a moment. I'm almost wondering if it was Talladega, but I might be incorrect, so I'll just look and retrace my steps to find out. No, I actually am incorrect. In that last superspeedway we were at was the Bermuda Triangle Superspeedway, where Chris Dollerton took the checkered flag. And then 2 races before that was Talladega, and I'm noticing the 51 of Jordan Lopes up here. He was the winner at Dega, so have to see if maybe he can win his second superspeedway race of the season. And take a look who's coming up through the field there. That orange car with the black and white stripe on it, that's K Jazzin. Could Jazzin go to victory lane for an unprecedented 3 times in a row? Nick Johnson to the lead, our winner from Tula. Tula was a road course. The road course that actually separated those 2 superspeedway races I was talking about, Talladega and Bermuda. Nick Johnson trying to prove he can win at superspeedways as well. One thing about superspeedways, it always seems like it comes down to being in the right place at the right time. It's almost not as much about strategy as it is more about luck. Just trusting you're going to be in the right spot to be able to be the race leader when you come to the start-finish line and the checkered flag is waving. Field's starting to get back bunched up now as Jordan Lopes will move for second position. K Jazzin right there to offer the drafting help. Lopes comes into this race currently 12th in the point standings. I mean, we really never talked much about Jordan Lopes until he got that trip to victory lane at Dega. And since then, that team, that was kind of the shot in the arm that team needed. And they've been very consistent in the last few weeks. And Lopes, as I said, inside of the top 15 in the point standings in 12th. And there's, as I said as well, a number of drivers that at this point are in really good shape of making the chase. K Jazzin, Benny Watson, and James Qualls. There are some drivers that, with a good run tonight, might actually lock themselves up a spot in the chase for the championship this season as well, with only, it's going to be 4 races remaining after this one in the regular season, and those would include DJ Kurtis, John Andrews, and the aforementioned Jordan Lopes. Not an unusual sight. We've seen this for the past 3 weeks in the last 2 races. K Jazzin out in front, showing the way. K Jazzin, 2 wins in a row, trying to win his 3rd race in 4 weeks. And what a statement that would be for K Jazzin too, because if Jazzin wins, that's a dirt track, a speedway, and a super speedway that K Jazzin has won in 3 straight races. Seen a couple new faces popping up here towards the front. N Guenther in the 11. N Guenther has been really consistent this season, 10th in the point standings. Been close to getting to victory lane a couple of times, but last couple of weeks we really haven't seen the leaf filter Chevy Camaro up here towards the front. So nice to see him up here. Also noticing another driver fighting his way up into the top 10, and that is right there, Jesse Turner, that 39 car. Turner comes into this race currently scored in the 28th in the point standing. So like I said, these kind of racetracks, these type of races seem to cater to the underdog. Jesse Turner would actually kind of fit that equation. And Turner was really close to almost winning. I think it was a couple of weeks ago back at Springfield, was up close to the front. Was actually, I believe, one of the dominant cars of that race as well. But that late race caution ended up messing Turner up. Talked about K Jazzin and James Qualls possibly being locked into the chase. Well, same can be said for Benny Watson. Watson only 1 win this season at Bristol Dirt, but been having a very consistent year, and right now came into this race 2nd in the point standings, 20 points out of the points lead that currently is held by K Jazzin. And Benny Watson right now running solidly inside the top 10. Just basically needs to keep finishing up in the top 10. And Watson's going to be a sure thing of getting into the chase. As right there is the 07 of K Tsang. She's been caught and now will go a lap down. So was able to return back to the racetrack, but is going to be the first car trapped a lap down. As a result, don't know how far these leaders have to go before they catch Jonathan Zoerlein. There is Zoerlein on the back straightaway. And he is going to get caught probably within the next lap or so. Let's find out where Zach Rogers is running, that 2 car, the new driver for that team. And Rogers started up close to the front of the field, and he's getting freight trained towards the back. There he is. The last time by, he was scored in the 20th position. He's going to lose more spots there. And I'm looking back here, and I'm seeing some names we talked about at the top of the program that needed good runs, and they're not exactly up towards the front right now. One of them right there, J Finguy, coming into this race in that critical 30th place in the point standings. Not too far ahead is that DAB Toyota Camry of Joseph Romero. There he is, Romero outside the top 35 in points, top 30 in points, I should say, in 35th. There is Matthew Daleo, 34th in the point standings. They're all back here in this second group. About Zachariah Hall. Where's that 4 car at? There he is. He's up in this lead group. Last time by, he was scored in 14th. So Hall doing what he needs to get himself back into the top 30 in the points, as they've now caught Jonathan Zoerlein in the 62 car. And Brooke Allen is the other driver that we were going to keep tabs on. 31st in the point standings, and Brooke isn't even in the second pack. Where's the Reynolds Wrap Chevy? Oh, wow, all the way back here, running behind John Andrews and Jeremy Jones in the 19. As they're about to catch outside pole sitter Connor Breton, who's all the way back mired in 34th. They're going to freight train him. John Andrews, this is not a good run for him. John Andrews, our winner from last week at Rockingham. And Andrews, or I'm sorry, not last week. It wasn't last week. It was a couple of weeks ago, like 4 weeks ago. It wasn't even at Rockingham. It was actually at Arizona. Sorry, I got those two tracks confused. Andrews came into this race 11th in the point standings, actually jumped up 4 spots in the standings after last week's race at Rockingham, but not having a good run right now. Neither is Brooke Allen. And they're showing Allen as the last, or make that Connor Breton the last car in the lead lap in 37th place. 38th place right now, I believe, would be Zoerlein. 39th would be K Tsang. They're a lap down. And officially out of the race, didn't even take the green flag, is Jonathan Rains. I'm not certain what was wrong with that machine, but that's a tough break. Rains was actually getting back on track after dropping like a stone through the standings. He actually picked up 5 spots in points up to 17th in the standings coming into this race, but it's like he's going to lose all the spots he gained last week here this week at Daytona. K Jazzin still out in front, and this is not what everybody needs to have happen with K Jazzin, because Jazzin leading this many laps more than likely is not only going to lock up a bonus point for leading a lap, but lock up a bonus point as well for leading the most laps. Nobody's really been able to form up and get to Jazzin's back bumper. They've been more content to actually battle for second. There you see, case in point, Zachariah Hall jump into the inside of Jordan Lopez. If those 3 or 4, along with Watson and Denton, maybe Acevedo, if they'd all stayed together, they probably could have reeled Jazzin in and then tried battling for the lead, but instead fighting amongst themselves for that second position. 13 laps complete. We're on to lap 14. Question is, when are these drivers going to have to potentially make green flag pit stops? I don't think they can make it the full 32 laps around on 1 tank of fuel. As now Zachariah Hall, Benny Watson, a couple of former winners earlier this season, trying to reel in K Jazzin. If Watson doesn't step out, they've got a good chance of drafting up to the back bumper down this back straightaway, and they do stay in line, so looks like the gap is starting to close. And as soon as I say that, Watson dives it really quickly close to the entrance of the corner on Zachariah Hall, and he'll go to the second position. But that, again, continues to hinder the progress of them reeling in the Branch Chevrolet of K Jazzin. Grayson Acevedo moving by. Big opportunity here for Junior Motorsports to work together. I'm seeing all 4 of their cars up here inside of the top 15. Jazzin in the lead. There's Acevedo in the 5, Colin Denton in the 1, and Amore Stoudemire Jr. in the 88 is also up here in this lead group. So big opportunity here for Junior Motorsports, as at this point only one of their team has gone to victory lane, that being Jazzin, in the past 2 weeks. Jazzin the points leader, Stoudemire Jr. in 5th in the standings. Acevedo is 14th in points, and Denton jumped up to 18th in points after last week. So all those drivers from that team having pretty good season so far, but as said, wins are very important in getting yourself into the chase for the championship. Got to give a shout out here to Zachariah Hall. I mean, one thing that you tend to do at restrictor plate tracks is force the issue. When you're in a desperate situation, you try and make moves you might not necessarily make just to try and gain track position and gain spots on the track. Zachariah Hall's been very conservative, and it's been serving him well right now, running in the 6th position. And as mentioned, Zachariah Hall trying today to just get a good run, get back into the top 30 in points, so his Las Vegas win will count towards a chase spot. And right now, doing a very good job just riding, picking his moments of when he's going to make his moves, not doing anything too aggressive. And if Zachariah Hall can leave with a top 10 here tonight, based on what other drivers are having for difficulties, like Matthew Daleo and Jeffrey Finguy, Joseph Romero, I think Zachariah Hall would be in a pretty good situation heading into next week. Still continuing to lead, though, is K Jazzin. They've not been able to catch up to that Branch Chevrolet. They just continue to battle for second place. I don't know if maybe they realize they can't get the draft to be able to reel in K Jazzin, or maybe they're just letting Jazzin use up his stuff and they're going to wait for the green flag pit stops. But as soon as I say that, Nick Johnson now appears to be reeling in K Jazzin. And Nick Johnson's been out in front at least once today, so might be able to do something here. Question is Benny Watson going to catch Nick Johnson? before Johnson catches K Jazzin. Benny Watson's actually kind of pulling Nick Johnson back away from K Jazzin with how close he's running to that 42. And there you can see now the gap is closed between the 42 and the 89. It's kind of grown a little between the 7 and the 42. And now Benny Watson, got to see if he's going to play spoiler here in Nick Johnson's attempt to try and reel in K Jazzin. A lot of times we see the pole sitter at these tracks fade away. Well, not the case for Richard Johnson. He's now back up again here inside the top 5, trying to go coast to coast here at Daytona is Richard. Let's keep in mind, Richard Johnson almost picked up a checkered flag at a super speedway back at Bermuda, but it was Chris Dollerton who spoiled that party. So Richard Johnson trying to get some restrictor plate redemption here, as he's right now in the 4th position. Nick Guenther right behind him in 5th. And there's the Junior Motorsports cars working together. And Morris Studemeyer Jr. has picked up his teammate Colin Denton. Right now they are scored in 6th and 7th. Jazzin still continuing to show the way, though. Boy, that car has just been so strong the last couple of weeks. It's amazing what they've been able to do. And now the battle is on for 3rd. That could actually be good news for Nick Johnson. Johnson now can concentrate on trying to reel in K Jazzin rather than having to deal with Benny Watson and company. And we've got a total now of 13 laps to go. Still the question of when those green flag pit stops will come into play. Let's look and see if there's any traffic they may encounter too. This group of 4 of Andrews, Jones, Breton, and Allen back here, they are just going through turns 3 and 4. The leaders were in turns 1 and 2, so it's almost nearly still half a racetrack before they'd encounter any traffic. So I don't think that's going to be an issue at all. At least not currently in the green flag run, as again, Nick Guenther, Richard Johnson, they still battle for 3rd. But even with the battling going on for 3rd, Nick Johnson's not been able to get up to the back bumper of K Jazzin. It's kind of interesting, too, because you factor into the equation that at tracks like this, you think, well, in order to reel in someone ahead of you, you got to have a drafting partner. But it really hasn't seemed to work out that way. We saw Benny Watson behind Nick Johnson for a couple of laps, and neither one of them made any progress on the number 7 Chevrolet of K Jazzin. So I don't know what it's going to take to maybe get around Jazzin. I thought maybe if you had a new driver up there in 2nd place to lead that draft, but Nick Johnson's not been able to make much progress, and Nick Guenther may be tired of riding behind Nick Johnson here in just a moment. He may actually try stepping out of line, try to do something himself. Now right here, they're all single file. Watch here when they get to the tri-oval. Somebody's probably going to step out of line. It's going to be Studemeyer to the inside of Benny Watson. Nick Guenther, though, did not leave Nick Johnson, and that's going to maybe give the opportunity for Nick Johnson to make a move here towards the back bumper into turn 1. Oh, and interesting there, Colin Denton did not go with his teammate, Morris Studemeyer Jr. He actually stayed up top, and that's going to lose him a spot to Seth Cole. And there you see, right on the back straightaway off of turn 2, Nick Johnson does not get as good an exit as Jazzin does, and Jazzin again opens the gap about maybe a car length and a half. Then it's into the corner where Nick Johnson seems to be able to gain the momentum again. So Johnson's better entering the corner, but K Jazzin's just a little bit better exiting the corner. So either Nick Johnson's got to get himself better in the corner exit, especially off of 2, or he's got to hope that K Jazzin somehow makes a little bit of a slip-up, makes a bit of a mistake. Into the entrance of the corner, Johnson keeps it about status quo, but watch when they get here to the exit. Off the exit of the corner, well, that time, Nick Johnson seemed to be a little bit better off the corner than Jazzin was. And just when it looks like he and Nick Guenther are gaining momentum, Seth Cole tried to stick his nose in there, but Nick Guenther throws the block on him, at least for the moment. Still the question of when these drivers are going to have to pit. Can they make it the full 32 laps on fuel? I didn't think they'd be able to, but maybe they can. I mean, hey, last week I didn't think that we were going to be able to see, who was it? It was, well, actually, it was 2 weeks ago. I didn't think we'd be seeing Kat Tellier make it as far as she did on fuel at Watkins Glen in the Hershey's Cup Series, but she was able to. So Now, these drivers have definitely learned quite a bit about fuel mileage and fuel strategy and knowing how far they can stretch it as far as conserving and everything. I would think, though, for K Jazzin spending so much time out in front, not really having much drafting help either, since it's been about a car length and a half between him and whoever runs in second place, K Jazzin has to be using up quite a bit of fuel in just cutting the wind for the draft, but don't know for certain. I thought I just maybe heard a car on pit road. Was there a car that came to pit lane? Apparently not. Nope. Nobody coming to pit road. Thought maybe that might be our start of our cycle of green flag pit stops, but not the case. And with 7.5 laps to go, it's seeming less and less like these drivers would have to pit. But are they trying to stretch it as far as they can and then pit last minute maybe? I don't know. I do not know if these drivers are going to have to pit. I was almost certain they were going to have to. I know they're going to have to in the Hershey's Cup Series race here tomorrow night, but right now they're proving me wrong in this Almond Joy Series race, as it will be officially now 7 laps to go here tonight at Daytona. K Jazzin trying to make Almond Joy history. We've already had a driver go to victory lane 2 races in a row. That was Matthew Daleo earlier on this season, and then K Jazzin in the last 3 weeks. We've never had a driver go back to back to back in the Almond Joy Series. K Jazzin, there's no doubt about it, a trip to victory lane as well would obviously lock himself up a spot in the chase for the championship here for Almond Joy, as if that didn't seem like that was going to be the case anyway here, leading the points with 2 wins with only 4 races remaining after this one. But K Jazzin trying to continue to ride the wave of momentum that team has been on. And it's funny, we had a lot of battling for the race lead early on in this thing, but ever since Jazzin took the lead, nobody has been able to get to the back bumper of that Chevrolet Camaro. And I am hearing engines, and that happens to be Jeffrey Finguy, John Andrews, Brooke Allen, Jeremy Jones, and Connor Breton. I think they're going to get caught. We're going to have 5 to go when we hit the stripe, and I think that pack's going to get caught. And that could be the factor of how someone might be able to get around K Jazzin. They are going to catch that group. There is no doubt about that, especially with how they're running right now. Single file, nobody stepping out of line. That's a freight train of speed, and they are going to catch that pack very shortly. I would say maybe within the next 2 laps. Look who's up here that could capitalize if K Jazzin cannot get around that traffic. You got Nick Johnson, N Guenther, K Shearer, Colin Denton, Richard Johnson, Jesse Turner, Grayson Acevedo, Amaury Stoudemire Jr. They've all not been to victory lane yet. I think I actually said Nick Johnson in that group, and I apologize. Nick Johnson is a former winner. He has been to victory lane at Tula. So eliminate the 42 from that list I just said. 4 laps to go. That traffic still up ahead, and there's no doubt they will be caught before this race is over. You can see it right there. They're all in the same shot now, the leaders and the drivers on the tail end of the lead lap. And the biggest issue as well is they are battling in that group up ahead. They are battling for position. Where are these drivers going to make their move? If they can make a move on K Jazzin, Jazzin will not have the benefit of clean racetrack ahead of him anymore, and now drives to the inside of Jeremy Jones. Here we go. This could be the factor that could end up having us have a battle for the lead. Nick Johnson thought about going 3 wide there. Not able to do it yet. Can he get to the inside of K Jazzin going here into 1? Jazzin leading the group here on the low line, putting these drivers down a lap. Jones, Breton, Brooke Allen, John Andrews, they're all off the lead lap now. This could be the spot right here on the back straightaway for Nick Johnson, N Guenther, someone to make a move on K Jazzin, but Jazzin instead dives to the inside line. And now Nick Johnson is the one that's going to get freight trained. Jazzin gets through the traffic with the lead. N Guenther into second. Benny Watson will move to third, and it's going to be 2 to go when they hit the line, and Jazzin, what looked like was going to be the mitigating factor that could lose Jazzin this race, ends up basically just being like snow, just melted off the shoulders. As there's 2 laps to go, N Guenther in second, Watson in third. Can they do anything to reel in K Jazzin? Next cars would be over in turn 3. K Hagen battling with C Dollerton. That's a long ways ahead of the race leader. And I don't see anything that's going to be able to stop K Jazzin now. I thought maybe that traffic could be the factor, but Jazzin just carefully taking his time, picking his way through, easily making his way through, it seemed, effortlessly, is going to have the white flag displayed this time with about 3 car lengths in hand over Benny Watson, K Shearer and company, and Shearer is going to battle for second. That's pretty much the white flag of surrender as the white flag is displayed over the hood of the Branch Chevrolet. There's William Brock. Brock on the apron. Issues for the Bass Pro Shops number 3 here in the closing stages of this race. Unless K Shearer can get a heck of a run down the back straightaway, there's no way they're going to be able to catch K Jazzin. Don't know what they put in the engine compartment of that number 7 for this race, but a dominating performance once again by K Jazzin, setting sail for NNSCRA history in the Almond Joy Series. Back-to-back-to-back wins. Springfield, Rockingham, and now Daytona. K Jazzin is a 3-time winner in the Almond Joy Series. Hello, Chase. K Jazzin takes the checkered flag tonight at Daytona. Never seen anything like this before in the Almond Joy Series, and I don't know, I'd have to go way back in the vault of my memory to try and remember a time that a driver in any NNSCRA series won 3 races in a row. Back-to-back races, it's been done multiple times, but I don't remember ever there being a triple back-to-back-to-back race winner in an NNSCRA series. Well, as if we didn't know it heading into this race, we definitely know it for the remainder of the regular season. K Jazzin, there's no doubt, is definitely going to be in the chase for the championship. And boy, next week now we're going to be wondering if Jazzin can go for 4 wins in a row. Race went green to the end. Completely green flag race here at Daytona, the entire 32 laps. Jazzin gets the win. N Guenther, another solid outing in second place for him. How about Zachariah Hall? Mission accomplished, needed a good run, gets it. 3rd place for that Ford team. Seth Cole gets 4th. And Amore Stoudemire Jr., after a pretty hard luck run last week at Rockingham, nice run in the top 5 tonight, in 5th place. 6th place going to be K Shearer. Another solid outing for that team as they came into this race 7th in the points. Grace Nacavedo 7th, Benny Watson 8th, Jesse Turner 9th, and Colin Denton in 10th. All 4 of the junior motorsports cars finishing in the top 10 here today. Jordan Lopez gets 11th, Richard Johnson in 12th. Nick Johnson, after getting caught up in that traffic that ended up finishing a lap down, he fell all the way back, but he'll finish in 13th, 14th for Cody Smart, and Julio Cesar finishes in 15th. James Qualls started dead last in this race, managed to fight his way up to 16th place without the aid of a caution flag. Jay Jefferson gets 17th, rest of the top 20. Davey Johnson, Matthew Daleo, pretty decent run, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to get him back into the top 30 in points or not. Gets 19th and 20th for Angel Navarro. Just look on down here through the remainder of the finishing results. Zach Rogers, 27th in his Almond Joy Series debut. Now look at these drivers we talked about coming into this race. Joseph Romero, 29th. Jeffrey Finguy, first car a lap down in 32nd. Brooke Allen, 34th. Not the run that these drivers needed at all to get themselves back into the top 30 in the point standings. We had 31 cars finish on the lead lap. 40th place, you don't see him because he didn't cross the finish line to start this race, but that will be Jonathan Rains. So tough break there, never even got to take the green flag. And we had a total of 8 drivers finish this race off the lead lap. So they went 32 laps, green flag, without having to pit. I believe it's going to be 48 laps tomorrow night for the Hershey's Cup Series race. I'll be shocked if they can make it that whole way on 1 tank of fuel. But K Jazzin is in the history books as the first 3-time winner in the Almond Joy Series, and is officially one of the drivers that will battle for the championship in the chase for the championship in 5 weeks. Hope you guys enjoyed this race. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe to become part of the crew today. We'll show you full finishing results on down through 39th, even though 40 drivers were in this race. Jonathan reigns in 40th. Hope you'll tune in to tomorrow night's race from Daytona in the Hershey's Cup Series. That's sure to be a wild one as well. Be interesting to see if maybe we'll see our first caution of the weekend as well here at Daytona, the home of the famed big one. Well, technically any superspeedway is, but we hope you'll tune in for that. As up next, we're going to show you your point stands heading into next week's race here for the Almond Joy Series as we continue on our chase for the championship in the Almond Joy Series, as you've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.